Well, welcome back, everybody. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple different things here. Normally, I'd spend the time analyzing a couple of the key different markets, for instance, like the NASDAQ here and the SPY. And there are lots of great signals that we've been seeing here for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to, of course, the big rally here on the NASDAQ. Weeks and weeks and weeks of lots of great hourly charts. Again, the daily charts here on the SPY, lots of that leading for the big move up. And again, SPY hourly charts, lots of great movement here over as well, right? You see a lot of the great stuff we look for, throttling and TRPs and all sorts of different wonderful things that we're looking for here. So that's what I normally spend a lot of time on and kind of go into the detail on all those different things. But what I want to do is kind of change it up a little bit and break it down a little bit differently here today, and then tell you what we're looking for going into Monday based on the price action that we saw specifically on Friday, and so the things that we got to be on the lookout for. So with that being said, my TRP tool, which is something that's very near and dear. It's applicable to all traders, really, not just the more advanced or more serious traders. Even if you're a casual trader and investor, this is one of those tools that people really like to go ahead and see and use because of its simplicity. So a couple of the key things as we look at where we're at, for instance, with the SPY here. So you'll notice that I like this tool down here below to be above this white line, right? And so if we're above the white line, all I'm looking for is long side trades. Not, and even if I get a buy signal, like right here, if I'm below that white line, I don't want to take the trade there. Even though it would often go in with profit, it's not statistically probable enough for me to follow through with it. However, once we get back above that white line, now that's great. We got we've got that buy up there, and we've got the buy signal below, right? So here, when we're already above the line and we get a fresh buy signal, great. That's what I'm looking for, right? And this is the same thing even on not just like daily and hourly time frames, but even for the more short-term trading time frames here. We can see in SPY 10-minute chart, we had a buy signal and we were above the zero line right before the election itself, and then off to the races it hit, and then it had the sell from that side right there. And then we broke back up with another buy signal. We were above that white line, as you can see right here. And what's nice is if we get above the magenta line, so if we get above the magenta lines, then we often will look for what we call runaways. Okay, so if it gets above what we target 2 here, so target 2, that's where we can get runaways, right? I teach that all the time. And so very important tool. So you can see the hourly charts right after the election put us into runaway mode. Then even as we look at like the 10-minute charts, moving it forward here, see we got above that magenta line. We get above that magenta line, then we look for more of the runaways, right? And so as we're looking at this, I hope this goes ahead and kind of simplifies the very simplistic tool. Do we have a fresh buy signal here, right? After the previous sell signals, do we launch into new buys? Great, got a buy. Am I at that same time above the white line here? If those two things are yes, great. Then I can go and look for the long side trade. And then we've got target points, okay, for more conservative and aggressive targets. And then if we break above that second target, that's where we get the runaways, like we were talking about. Super simple, super easy to go ahead and focus on within the trend. What's our trend? So I'm only looking to buy in the uptrend or break above red dots in the uptrend, right? Breaking above a red dot in an uptrend is a fresh reentry. If the sells don't sell, maybe it's time to buy, right? So that's what we're looking at from a situation like that. But now armed with that, so great tool, TRP, great tool to go ahead and use for that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at into Monday then, where we're at, because something I need you to pay attention to. Two things. Number one, just looking at the TRP crossover. This is not something you see very often at all, where you get kind of this hyperparabolic burn down. Now obviously there was a lot of big news that happened this week with the election, and a lot of people are feeling more optimistic. Obviously, there's a whole other group of people that are feeling it's now the end of the world. Funny how these elections go back and forth, right? But what we don't see is, technically speaking, this is statistically very infrequent that you see something where we're so overbought for so long below these key levels or above these key levels. So right now we're getting kind of top heavy, and you'll notice on Friday we went ahead and had kind of a what we call reverse inventory retracement bar. We had two big days, right? And so this market, keep in mind, this market's been going up now for a few months, right? And then all of a sudden we sit there and let me just get that drawing tool there. We go ahead and are all of a sudden going kind of parabolic straight up here, right? So we were at a nice angle of attack, more sustainable, and now we're kind of parabolic. Well, Friday, the best it could do is sell off a little bit, and then it kind of came up near the open. This is the NASDAQ futures we're looking at. Okay, it looks slightly different. The SPY, which I do want to show that to you again. So the SPY, it looks a little bit different. So that's why it's important to look at like the futures as well, because sometimes it will give you a little clearer picture of what's actually happening here. And so where we're at, basically the best we did on Friday, we had a little bit of selling, and then we came back up to the near the open. So what we're looking at now is, because we're in an uptrend, right, and we're above that zero line, what I'd prefer to see here is that we stay above this area right here and then actually break above this area. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not going to be as excited if we just gap up here Sunday night into Monday morning. I'd prefer not to just gap up, gap and go. What I'd prefer to do here is actually pull back a little bit, test this area a little bit more, and then start to run back up through this area. So take out, shake out, take out some people, and then push back up. That would be the highest probability. That'd be the most favored trade that I'd really like to go ahead and see in this case. Get some of those fresh buy signals coming back off after a little bit of a pullback here when you're still above, you said the key levels, for instance, and then great. So you get a little pause to refresh and then push back. Now, if it goes and breaks down below Friday's low, then what we'll do is we'll let it come down a little bit longer here. I really want it to pull down. You guys know one of my favorite trades is when we pull down into the rising support and then start to come back out of it, right? So I'd like for this to catch up a little bit here, and then otherwise on the intraday basis, I'll be looking for, especially if we're bullish and this turns the buy side, I'm going to be looking for pullbacks into rising support and then taking back off again. Of course, I taught you at the last Wealth 365 Summit some really great strategies, some wonderful, powerful tools that come with WealthCharts, what we call the Champion Trend Pack. Some phenomenal tools to use for that. Here, this is the TRP. That's a different tool, but a powerful tool that's available for all traders out there, kind of from my perspective, whether stock, futures, options, Forex. Those are great tools, the TRP for all people, whether they're super serious or part-time. So what's important with this now is understanding that I'd really like to see a little bit of consolidation and then break above this line, because this line, when we're 45% or more off the low in an uptrend, that's a reverse inventory retracement bar. And of course, breaking above those is one of my favorite reentries. Just like right here, this is a classic inventory retracement bar in an uptrend, and breaking above those is a fresh reentry, right? You guys are very familiar with those strategies. I teach them all the time. And so here and now, this is the reverse inventory retracement bar, so I'd like to see us get above that. Again, I'm not going to be as excited with just a gap and go. If we do gap and go, then what's going to have to happen is it's going to have to pull back into the intraday time frames and then start to take back off. Give me a pause to refresh, what we call a resumption trade. All right, so that's going to be very important to me. So watch this. So Friday's high and Friday's low are going to be very important to give me kind of a short-term thesis on how I want to play this market. Net though, the market is still very bullish, just even like we had that big pullback over here. It looked like it was the end of the world. I'm like, well, you may think it is, but we still are above this channel, or still at the bottom end of the channel, and we're still nicely above this line right here. So think about it as like a locomotive, a train, right? So if the train is barreling down the tracks, and all of a sudden you hit the emergency stop, does it just stop right there? Or does it have the energy to kind of keep going and going and going for a little while? Just think about that for a moment, okay? That's what's kind of happening here. Even if you pull the stop, there was too much underlying market energy available. Now, we just took out a lot of that market energy here, which is why I'm so ingrained in my strategy for Monday, focusing on above here, the longs and how to play those, and below here, take a little bit more of a pause. Now, with the hourly chart being so strong like this, I really want the hourly chart to be kind of down before I go looking for any sort of short-term short into this area. And then, of course, those lower time frames. And again, that's not the preferred trade of choice. The preferred trade of choice is going to be going with the daily, with the hourly. Those are going to be higher probability where I'd look to do more size, give it more chance to run, those kind of things, right? So I hope that helps you understand, kind of simplify what we're looking for, where the market's got to be to go and actually take advantage of those types of trades, depending on which tools mind you're going and using, and how you can just kind of stay on the right side of the trade and have some different targets, and then know when, wow, this might be a runaway here when it gets above certain levels, and then also carry that into what we're looking at going into Monday morning, the all-important levels, given the frothiness of the last couple of days, all that market energy. It's not that it can't go higher. It's not what I'm saying. It's just that there's some things I'd like to see to get us, back up above those levels. And if we do just gap above those levels, it's going to be really important to pull back into intraday rising support and then start to take back off. Because if it just starts going down, if it gaps up, it could just start coming back down. So I want to see it come down and then show that it's a short-term support to get into. So let the market stop going down and start to go back up before entering that trade. So I know that was a lot of information. You may need to watch the video a couple of times, but I really wanted you guys to have a solid plan going into Monday and how to continue to benefit, key areas to watch, given all the incredible opportunities of the last few days, and we're just getting started. There are going to be so many more opportunities here. Make sure you're tuning in into WealthCharts there in the morning. We've got the live broadcast there where you're seeing guys like Dr. Keith going ahead and doing the trades into the WealthCharts system there, right there on the screen, and you can see it. He's pulled a lot of money out of prop trading firms, and he just pulled out another big 5-digit chunk here. And so watch guys like that in action inside the platform in the morning there. And we have Ziad doing the regular live trading room and so many different types of educational things. And if you also have questions how to apply some of these different tools, if you have access to them inside of WealthCharts, don't forget there's a little person that will be in the upper right-hand corner for all day chat from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. there as well to help you answer questions, okay, regarding how to apply things and everything. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend here. I hope you guys learned lots there of what we're looking for next, and we'll see you in upcoming videos. Take care for now, everybody. Bye-bye.